Hey, Mudflap's back with another video, and this time we're going to talk about the dev interview that happened this week. And if you didn't watch it, this will be the TLDR with some things that people may have missed. There were actually quite a few exciting and interesting ideas and possibilities that came from this, and even though almost nothing was confirmed, there were a lot of things that sound like they're in the works. Some of these things are probably going to make some people upset because, well, someone's always upset about something. But from what it seems like, a lot of this is going to make people quite happy. That being said, to reiterate, almost all the topics I'm going to discuss, we don't know. The thoughts about what's coming are either my inferences or they said, we can't confirm, but we may do X or Y. So let's dive into what we may have learned. Now, for the guaranteed thing, this is something just for anyone who hasn't researched or seen much about the beta runes. This is a guaranteed thing here. The beta runes for sure drop 10-man Ulduar and 10-man Nax gear on top of their other loot, so it's just adding to the pool of loot for catch-up mechanics. It's something they were asked about. What about alts and catch-ups? The alpha runes were a little overtuned for catch-up alts. The beta runes are much easier and have better loot. So it sounds like they've improved these a lot, and this is just confirmed that this is how it's going to work. It's really going to be a lot of loot from these. It's really going to help alts catch up. Now, one of the other topics they talked about were Ulduar skips. So in the PTR, you could use a teleporter all over the place, and the wall to Vezex was just open. You could just go through, go to whichever boss you needed. It was kind of buggy. They talked about this, so they said they could do it, but the portals are tied to the sequence of bosses and how they die, and so it's more work than it sounds, but they did it, a buggy version on PTR. They think they can do it for live. It might come, so that's kind of cool. Now for 25 men, if you're farming shards, you're unaffected, right? You could have fun with it and start at Yogg and go backwards, but other than that, nothing's happening for you if you're farming shards. Now 10 man, a lot of people are saying they want to go, they need something from Yogg, they need something from a couple keepers, but you got to clear all this stuff to get to them. That would be pretty cool if you could just target the 3 bosses you need and your group is done. You just, whatever the bosses that the group needs, that's all you do. People are more likely to enjoy that than all the ones they know. We just got to slog through this and get through every boss to get to what we're trying to do. So pretty cool there. Now, kind of a wild one. I didn't see this coming. They're probably going to increase Valanyr fragment drops. Now, that sounds a little wild to probably a few people because your guild's probably doing fine. You're probably having average, or maybe you're having above average drops. And you're like, well, we've created multiple. It hasn't been a big deal. Why would they up the rate? Well, you have to imagine with something that's chance drop other than one boss, somebody out there, some guild out there is the guild that only gets Yogg every week. And that would take you 30 weeks. Maybe it's not that bad, but if your guild has had bad luck, I guarantee somebody's had worse. So this must be something for the people who, against all odds, still haven't created a Valanyr or have just been way behind the curve of everyone else. And they're like, you know what? The guilds who have a ton, who cares if they have more? All their healers are going to have it. Some of their DPS can have it. Who cares? Let's just make sure that the guilds who have been screwed are getting a chance to get their people some Valanyrs. That must be the reasoning, because I didn't think about this as a possibility, but they'll have the stats, they'll see what's going on in some guilds, if there are complaints about guilds just not having luck. So in that regard, sure, that's fine if they do that. Doesn't bother me. The weirdest aspect of this is that they said they might add them to 10 man. I didn't see that coming. I guess it makes sense if it's the next patch. So a lot of people will be like, oh, why would you drop them in 10 man it's, it's exclusively 25, blah, blah, blah. Well, as long as it's the next patch, then all the people who are gatekeeping with whatever, I think that's fair. Unless there's something we're missing. There might be some shenanigans we're not thinking about. However, is it only going to drop from hard mode bosses like Rune Orbs? That's probably what'll happen. I don't know if they'll have them drop from even the 10-man normal bosses, but who knows? Now, if they make it drop from everything, that undoes what I was talking about earlier with the skips. Well, your 10-man's not going to skip every boss if you gotta get a chance of Valanyr shards from every boss. So the point of skipping around would be pointless. Unless your group doesn't care about Valanyr shards. I mean, it's possible. The next topic was RDF, Random Dungeon Finder. So this one, this had to have gone under. I saw no one talk about this. This is the craziest thing because it's one of the biggest topics of the entire expansion. Heck, they were talking about it in TBC. They wanted it, right? Now, many people don't want it. Many people do want it. I think from what I've heard, the loudest people are the people who don't want it, but more people seem to want it. Could be just the people I've talked to. That being said, I'm kind of one of these people that's in the middle where I'm fine with the community argument of the people in the current content, make your 5-man, go to your 5-man in the current content, the Wrath dungeons. However, leveling an alt and getting a group for the 5-mans on a level 30 when there's no one around to do that. You making a group for the old stuff is absurd. It should exist for past content. That's my 2 cents. You guys can let me know what you think about what should happen with RDF. But here's the big part of this. Every time there's a dev interview, they are asked, what about RDF? What about RDF? And they always say, community, 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 it's not coming. Sorry. Not this time. They didn't say anything about that. They responded with, it didn't come out till ICC, so wait till ICC. That's kind of a big statement. They didn't say, no, community. They just said, well, it came out with this, true, so wait till that for it to come out. I might be crazy, but you would not say that unless that's the plan, right? I mean, is there any other way to read that statement? So, sounds like RDF, for all you RDF lovers, sounds like it's coming not too far away. Not TOSGC, but probably the next patch. So, there you go with that. I am surprised. I have seen no one talk about this. That was kind of a crazy thing to hear in the interview. Now, another crazy thing, could be one of my inferences, but again, why would you say things a certain way unless you mean it that way? Could be a Freudian slip, I don't know. But generally what happens in dev interviews is people accidentally say things they didn't mean to tell you yet. So they were asked about Ulduar. Did they like what happened in Ulduar? They raised the eye level. They made the bosses harder. If there was anything they could change, would they, or did they think they nailed it? And they said, mostly nailed it. There's one thing they would change. The 10-man weapons they thought might have been too high of an eye level. They probably should made those 239 instead of 245. And that's basically their only regret. Okay, fair enough. And they said, next time, this is what they're going to do. They did not say if there was a next time. They said, here's our plan for when it happens again. Sounds like either the theory of the trilogy where people start from the beginning and go through again every X amount of years. Maybe that's a thing. Maybe Season of Mastery Wrath is a thing. I don't know what the plan is, but you would never frame it that way unless there's a plan for it. Now, they could scrap it. It could just be something that they're hoping for. Who knows? But I know a lot of people that are going to get excited from hearing that. So, interesting thing there. Could just be my inference, but why would you say it that way? Now, another thing. They talked about heroic +++. the Gamma Rune dungeons in the next patch, right? So they really liked what they've been doing with that, and people have really liked these dungeons so far. They said they're going to probably add some achievements for having done everything, every alpha, beta, gamma rune, maybe a title or something, I don't know, and just have some sort of big deal for having done it all. Adding new achievements and new fun things, that's a cool idea. I'm glad that they're doing that. I know a lot of people that like to chase new achievements. They like that kind of Classic Plus thing where add a little bit of something, add a little spice for something for me to do, something new, something fun. That's cool. They also said they had big ideas for the Gamma Rune dungeons, which in the past you might have been reticent to believe what they said, but honestly, the Beta Rune dungeon things are so cool, especially the Ulduar ones. They claimed they had fun with it. I believe them because they are some pretty cool looking dungeons. Now, another thing, Warlocks, rejoice. Somebody brought up the fact that Infernals don't reset and everyone else's DPS cooldown resets. Why not them? Seems like it just slipped under the radar. So they're like, yeah, we'll take a look at that. Like they didn't realize that was a thing. Fair enough. So they've changed the cooldowns for over 100 spells. So doing one more, probably not that complicated. And then the Warlocks will be on the same page as everyone else with their cooldowns. They have Soulstones already work that way, but that's not even a DPS cooldown. Very inconsistent because Onks don't work, which is just weird. But no one complained about that, so maybe they won't touch it. Now, the last thing they said is they're working on the hardcore realms. We knew that, but it sounded like they're receiving more love than we thought. That's cool because if they don't do a little bit extra fine-tuning, give it a little bit of love, it's probably DOA. You would hate to see that. I've been playing it. It's been pretty fun, and I hope that it keeps going because it's a pretty cool experience. I was not certain if I would enjoy it. It's pretty cool. It's pretty exciting. So with that, I hope this was informative, and more videos will be coming, and subscribe to the channel, please. Helps me dedicate more time to these things. And with that, I will see you on the next one.